It is the end of the road for the era of pampering and the beginning of what the military high command is now calling the final cleanup. If you have been following the news in the last 48 hours, you know that the atmosphere in northern Nigeria has changed drastically. The headline everyone is talking about is true. Sheikh Ahmad Gumi is crying out. But this time it seems his tears are falling on deaf ears because President Bola Tinubu has given a new, ruthless order to the military. Wipe them out. We are looking at a total shift in the power dynamic that is shaking the very foundations of the Northwest. For years, we heard narratives that these bandits must be petted, that they are victims of neglect, and that we must negotiate with them in the forests. Sheikh Gumi was the undisputed champion of that narrative. But right now, in November 2025, that table has been shattered. Operation Fasan Yanma is currently raging across the Northwest, and the results are terrifying for the criminals, but a relief for the long-suffering victims. Let's break down exactly what is happening that has made Gumi so bitter and why the corridors of power in the north are in disarray. On Monday, November 17th, 2025, the Minister of State for Defense, Minister Matawalle, who is himself a northern leader but is now fully aligning with Tinubu's crush agenda, arrived at the Northwest Theatre Command in Gusau, Zamfara State. He didn't come for a tea party and he didn't come to discuss amnesty. He delivered a direct, stinging message from President Tinubu to the troops. The message was simple and chilling. You have neutralized most of the key bandit leaders. Now, finish the remnants. This is the scattering the headline talks about. We are not just talking about foot soldiers anymore. The military reports coming out of Operation Fasan Yanma confirm that top bandit kingpins, names that used to strike fear into the hearts of villagers, names like Halilu Sububu, Kachala Halilu, and Yusuf Yellow, have been sent to the great beyond. These were the untouchables, the men who used to take photos with negotiators. Now they are history. The Air Force just this past weekend launched decisive surgical airstrikes in Zamfara and Kebbi, destroying logistics bases and specifically targeting the so-called Lakurawa enclaves in areas like Tangaza and Gudu. Now, why is Sheikh Gumi crying bitterly? You have to understand the context. Gumi's relevance for the last few years has been deeply tied to his position as the middleman. He was the only one who could walk into the forest, shake hands with these warlords, and come back to tell the government, give them money. Giving them amnesty is the only way. But with Tinubu's new total war approach, the middleman is no longer needed. If the bandits are dead, there is nobody to negotiate with. The business of mediation is bankrupt. Just days ago, Gumi went online to warn the government, sounding almost desperate. He tried to use the international angle to scare Aso Rock. He claimed that the United States and President-elect Donald Trump are only threatening Nigeria to steal our resources. He argued that the government should not use military force because it will lead to a proxy war that will consume the north. He even made a very controversial comparison that angered many patriots, pointing to the Israel-Hamas deal. He asked, if Israel can negotiate with Hamas, why can't Nigeria negotiate with bandits? That statement alone shows a man who is losing the room. He is trying to intellectualize terrorism, but the government is responding with kinetic force. But here is where the story gets spicy. This is the gist you need to hear. While Matawalle is in Zamfara shouting, crush them, there are whispers in the corridors. Just today, November 19th, 2025, a massive controversy erupted involving a whistleblower, a former aide to Matawalle himself. This whistleblower is alleging that Matawalle still maintains contact with some of these groups. Now, why is this important? It suggests that Matawalle's aggressive stance right now might be his way of proving his loyalty to Tinubu. He knows that if he doesn't deliver the heads of these bandits, he might be the next one on the chopping block politically. So he is pushing the military harder than ever to wipe them out to clear his own name and show that he is 100% on the side of the federal government. This is cutting northern leaders to size in real time. Tinubu is forcing them to choose. Are you with the state or are you with the bandits? There is no middle ground anymore. This aggressive stance is also fueled by a deep, burning anger within the military hierarchy. We are mourning. The nation recently lost a gallant top commander, Brigadier General Musa Uba, to an ISWAP ambush in Borno. That loss has angered the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, and the President himself. It has removed any pity they might have had left. The directive now is that the death of a general must be paid for with the total eradication of these groups. You can see this anger in the way the troops are moving. They are not waiting for clearance to shoot. They are taking the battle to the enemy's doorstep, recovering hundreds of AK-47s and destroying the supply chains that kept these bandits alive for so long. So, we are seeing a Gumi who is increasingly isolated. The Northern Elders Forum is divided. While some are quiet, perhaps afraid of being investigated next, others are quietly commending the military for finally waking up. The frantic nature of Gumi's recent statements, calling the US liars, claiming genocide reports in the Middle Belt are fake, and now begging for negotiation, shows a man who realizes that the amnesty train has left the station. If you are enjoying this deep dive into the security situation and want to keep getting the raw, unfiltered updates, please destroy that like button and subscribe to the channel. We don't sugarcoat the news here. We give it to you straight. The Senate is also involved now. Just yesterday, they passed a resolution asking President Tinubu to recruit an additional 100,000 soldiers. They want to flood the north with boots on the ground. This tells you that the legislative arm is fully backing the executive's crush mandate. The days of technical defeat are over. They want total victory. The question now is, what happens next? The military has promised that by the end of the year, the Northwest will be secure. They have deployed new platforms, better intelligence, and are actively working with local hunters who know the terrain better than anyone. The untouchables are being touched. We are seeing a systematic dismantling of the kidnapping industry. Gumi is warning that this will lead to more bloodshed, that the bandits will become more vicious if pushed to the wall. But the government's counter-argument is that they have been vicious even when we pampered them. They kidnapped schoolgirls in Kebbi even while people were preaching peace. So, the only language they understand is superior firepower. What is your take on this massive shift? Do you think President Tinubu is right to ignore Gumi's tears and continue the bombardment? Is Matawalle's sudden aggression a sign of true change or political survival? And can the military truly wipe out the remnants before the year ends?